I think people are very angry online on Twitter by definition, because that's the way Twitter works. And so, yes, this tweet, once it started appearing in a couple people's feeds and the algorithm suddenly realized it's making other people mad, and they're quote tweeting it, and they're getting their friends who see it are also getting mad, that's how the whole thing spirals. So that's why you wake up to it being like, oh shit, what just happened, right? We should dogmatically defend you against even minor attacks. That was exactly what I just said. Yes, verbatim. Yep. I'm now going to display the names of the people who quote tweeted me, who I thought are the worst ones, the most egregious actors, and I want all of you to teach them a lesson, one after the other. That was a joke. This is a bit. I have to say that at the end of this so people don't actually genuinely clip this out of context. Everything I said is not true. That is not how you should compose yourself online, and content creators with large platforms have to be self-aware. There you go. When cancel culture comes for you, where will you be? Where will you hide? So, apparently I've made the discourse, not with any intent on my part. Here's the story and the timeline, if you will. Let's get to the original. So I tweeted this out, went to bed, and woke up today I am the main character of Twitter today. Yes, I am 100% the main character of Twitter today. I don't know if any of you understand what that means. This is the most quote tweeted tweet I have ever made. And it's a tweet that has pissed off everyone. It's pissed off the people whom I love the most, fellow members of the LGBTQ plus community. I didn't get ratioed. It's almost at 12,000 likes. It's only at 1,500 quote tweets. I didn't get ratioed, but a lot of people whom I absolutely love and adore are very, very mad at me for this tweet. And this is that moment that people always tell you about, where it's like, if you step out of line, it's only a matter of time before the giant, all-powerful umbrella of the LGBTQ plus community will destroy you online with just the most and horrifying, vicious things. Which, okay, so it's happened to me. I now know what the feeling is, and let me say this. Y'all are still being ridiculous. I'm sorry. This did not break me. And I'm not talking about the trans community or the gay community or the queer community or any of that. I'm talking about people who still sincerely believe that there is some all-powerful, all-seeing, like, trans ideology on the internet that just, like, eviscerates everyone with their cancel culture powers if anyone is to step out of line. I think the misinterpretation of this tweet, and I'm going to say it is a slight misinterpretation, with respect, in good faith, of what I was trying to say, this was on me. Okay? People can fuck up in how they try to convey ideas. What I was trying to say with this tweet is not that there has not been a very strong and decided push by the right historically in both America and Canada to accuse gay and trans people of pedophilia in the past. In fact, the gay panic has been a thing that they've been doing. This is one of the oldest tropes that they've been using to try and vilify gay people, not just in North America, globally, historically. Both gay and trans people, typically one of the quickest ways to try and associate them with something negative is to associate them with the most negative thing of all time, which is pedojacking, right? Accusing them of being pedophiles. And that is what I was trying to say in this tweet, is that I've noticed recently, publicly on television anyways, that it has gone very decidedly from being something that may be spoken about behind closed doors, or maybe spoken about by really right-wing, far-right pundits on the radio, or maybe spoken about by, the people at the dinner table. They're saying the quiet part out loud a lot more aggressively, was what I was trying to say, right? This is not conveyed in this tweet. This is why the tweet obviously got a lot of people very, very mad. And again, people whom I have nothing but the utmost love and respect for. So really feels like the right went from, I don't really understand this LGBTQ+, but it's a free country and informed and consenting adults can do what they want. This, I guess, is a little bit closer to libertarianism, but this seems to have been, I'm sorry, in the past maybe 5 years, what like a Tucker Carlson would say if someone is like, you're transphobic. And he'd be like, oh, no, I'm not transphobic. If you're an adult, you can do what you want. Just stay away from the kids. Stay away from my kids. Steven Crowder would do the same thing. Joe Rogan would do the same thing. Doesn't matter who the pundit was. It was often, I'm not against trans people. I think if you're an adult, you can do what you want. Okay, just stay away from kids. Stay away from kids. And that has evolved very, very quickly to every one of you is a pedophile in my eyes, and I'm coming after your kids. That's kind of been the switch, you know, and that's been the switch that they're saying the quiet part out loud now. They're actually effectively doing that. And so people got really, really mad at me for this one. And a lot of people who, yes, are trans or are part of the LGBTQ plus, and a lot of the quote tweets are of the vein that this is not something new. Fucking yet another straight cis white male thinking that this is an event because they've been made aware of it, or they've been going after trans people, or they've been calling gay people pedophiles for before you were born. A lot of that. Those are the nice ones, right? That all the way to really, really, really mean comments, like incredibly mean comments. Mean comments, the kind of degree of mean comments that I've gotten from the alt-right or from, the DGG or stuff like that, right? It ran it, but it does feel different. And I'll say this, because again, I want to make a couple things clear. It does, and ContraPoints is right on this, it does feel different when it comes from your own group, right? When it comes from people on the left, or when it comes from people who are progressive, or when it comes from people who are also queer, like me. Like when it comes from that side of it, it does hurt a lot more, obviously, because it's the community that you're supposed to have been a part of and feel a part of, and suddenly it feels as either you are being ostracized from it, or you have fucked up to such a degree that you've done something wrong. So immediately, obviously, when I woke up and I realized what was happening, I just added this because I wanted to clarify, right? To not there were two courses of actions that could have been taken here, right? I could have just deleted the tweet, and I was contemplating that for a long time, but then I was like, I don't want to delete this because it's just, I don't want to give every single person who's just quote tweeted me and quote tweeted me very angry the idea that I'm like trying to hide or run away from it, because I don't actively think, if this is clarified, that it's doing damage. Like when I delete tweets, it's usually because I feel it's being misunderstood to such a degree that it's going to do damage. Never delete tweets. Oh, I disagree. I delete tweets so much, and that's usually the reason why. It's not that like, oh, I've been defeated, or like, oh God, I'm too afraid. Delete. No, it's that like there's enough people interpreting, because words just as texts, when you receive text, they can be misunderstood, right? So if enough people are misunderstanding my messaging, or I made a sarcastic comment and enough people are like, oh, well, this means that this, right? Then I'll delete it, because I like. It's having a net negative effect online. So that then I can be like, okay, I'll take it away. But here, I want to just add a clarification, because that wasn't what I was going for, and that's not what I was trying to explain. I'm sure this tweet can open conversations, but canceling you are but a small figure in a large scheme of things. People lose sight of the bigger picture sometimes. I understand I couldn't word indifferent, but the underlying point is real. The latest round. Well, yeah, the clarification, I think, helps sort that out. And I'm fine being the bad guy on Twitter for one day. It's not the first time it's happened. Maybe not to this degree, where we're like, there's a lot of people in the queer community who are very mad at this tweet. But either way, I want to say two things, okay? Because here's what I've learned through this process. And I'm saying this as someone who, guess what? I would tell you if I was in a bad way, or I'm having like, I'm sorry, I would just straight up be like, I can't stream today. I'm sorry, my mental health is just really taking a toll from this. I have to log off. But that's not at all what's happened here. So I'm just going to be, don't worry, I'm fine, I'm safe, I'm good. That's not what we're talking about here. What I do want to bring up is this idea of, and this plays into the cancel culture, and again, I think it is the myth of the fact that there's this like superpower of trans people online who will destroy you at any chance that you step out of line. I still don't believe that. Point number one is that I know it's a terrible way to word things. People hate talking about privilege, because it really just turns off anyone who isn't already very into leftist ideas and progressive ideas to hear or talk about. But something does have to be said about the protections that I get just by virtue of A, being cis, B, being incredibly white passing, being straight passing, whatever you want to call it, all these kind of things. People do not, just by virtue of my existence, go after my identities online. Mostly. There is the alt-right who, as soon as they found out that I was Métis, now aggressively try to go after that, but I just find that funny because it's fucking hilarious, because it's like, there's something else we can go after him from because he's not fully white or something like that. That's funny to me. But for the most part, yeah, I don't just make a post and then have like a whole bunch of people respond to my post with, go Roblox yourself, T-slur, right? Which a lot of people who are trans, that is just their lives online. It doesn't matter if they're tweeting very nice things. Like, heaven forbid if they're tweeting something political. Heaven forbid if they're a large account and they're trying to make a broader point about, hey, by the way, you should stop going after trans kids. And you get all these people all of a sudden aggressively being like, you know, I'm going to come Roblox you and your family because blah, 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 you know, subhuman Roblox and all this kind of stuff. Like, that is not my experience online. I don't experience that. So when I get incredible amounts of hate and all that kind of stuff, it's usually directed to what I'm saying, which is like, I do think people need to take a step back sometimes and recognize that. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, you know, this is a every day you should count your privilege. You should wake up and be like, well, I have to respect the fact that I have certain advantages over other people in life. But acknowledging it sometimes isn't an unhealthy practice, right? To recognize that like this is something that does occur specifically because of, you know, a whole bunch of innate qualities that people don't seem to have as much hatred towards as they do other categories. Here's the second thing. Lindsay Ellis, who got a worse treatment than I got for this tweet, for a much less political anything tweet. I still don't even think that tweet that she effectively got her massive, whatever you want to call it, cancellation for was bad. You know, I think it was just misinterpreted. I don't think she was attempting to be racist. I don't think she was attempting to, however you want to read it, right? Something does have to be said about the fact that she is a woman online. I know this doesn't get talked about a lot because there is now a lot of people who love to bring up, like, you know, the problem with white women, cis white women and all the privilege they have and how they usually like really try and flex that. Like, yes, that is a conversation to be had for sure. But I don't think we should ignore the difference there. That if you are a woman online, there is still a much added amount of vitriol towards you that is just directed towards you as a generality, where it's like, I not only need to tell you that you're wrong, I need to destroy you online. I need to get like it like, yes, she's white, yes, she's cis, but she's still a woman navigating spaces online, and it's still, I'm gonna be honest, more aggressive for her than it is for me. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. And I know people tried to say that like she doesn't listen or she doesn't take things in or she doesn't take seriously, but I think people genuinely forget that sometimes. I think, yes, as a cis white woman, you should be receptive to critiques of you if you are stepping out of your out of your range. For example, if you are suddenly being like like a black man has more privilege than I do as a white woman, that like, okay, that's not true, and you're getting very weird, and this is where you need to kind of be called out. That's very different than Lindsay Ellis, just as a popular famous content creator online, does a take. The take, in my opinion, is not even that bad. It's just not where you should be directing this degree of anger towards, right? But anyways, that take then turns into turning her into the villain of the day, kind of thing. I had a guy unironically ask me what my stamina stat was, oblivious to the fact the conversation was about Bethesda. People will change this. I am whamming. I am whamming here more. Lance, you're so weirdly wholesome, it's hard to believe people would think your tweet was malicious. Disingenuous actors are the worst. Well, no, but here's the thing that people also have to understand, okay, about how Twitter works. I have a large Twitter account, and of these 500 quote tweets, I'm guessing a lot of them didn't know who I was. This just went viral last night while I was sleeping, and I woke up to it. And I'm sure a lot of people just saw this tweet and they were like, what the fuck? Fuck me. A straight white cis boy thinks he can talk about this kind of issue as if we have not been persecuted our entire lives, as if we are not fighting and dying right now, as if Republicans are not trying to turn us into a wedge issue and they are literally trying to kill us. You know, how dare he? How the gall? Like, fucking, I don't need to teach you about this. I don't need to hold your hand. Fuck you. Anger. Here we go. Right? Like that is 100%. I think if you didn't know who I was and you misinterpreted this, yeah, you're not going to be like, oh no, hold on, that's not how he feels. He actually has spoken out about this a ton. This is not him trying to play an optics game or coat the line. No, like, you should really watch his stream. listen how Jordan Peterson this sounds. Like, if you just sat down and you watched at least, I'd say, like 10 hours of his streams, you'd realize he believes the exact opposite of what you're saying right now. And honestly, this is probably a little aggressive. Like, you don't need to talk about all these horrible things about him. He's kind of wholesome at the, like, no. You should have blamed this Dave. No, I'm not gonna fake blame tweets on Dave that I wrote myself. I wrote this one myself. But that's the other thing, is that I don't think people realize that, okay? Like, I don't think people realize that not everyone knows who the serfs are. I'm sure they just look at this, they click on this, and they're like, two plebs give you their spin on the playable dot. Both of course, hims. All right, well then what else? Oh, yep, one of the dudes, clearly white. Yep, and he said he's cis. There, I've got it all. White, cis, male, fucking speaking out of turn, blah, blah, blah. And like, you don't even have time to be like, well, no, I'm the B in the letters. Like, oh no, my mother's indigenous. And like, well, actually, this shouldn't matter at all. Like, you know, kind of like. So that's just my lesson from all this, and just my lesson to impart to all of you, okay, is that yeah, it does sting a lot more. ContraPoints is right, it does sting a lot more when it comes from your own group, when it comes from people who you want to be either aligned with, or you're a part of, or you're trying to help or save. It does hurt more. But also the other 2 points are this, is that if you have someone who is, again, cis and white on the internet, who's complaining to you about the woke scolds, who's complaining to you about how you know, the online trans community is so venomous, and they will destroy you if you step out of line, and they have absolutely no worth, and they're not actual activists and all that. I could not disagree with that more. I think people are very very angry online on Twitter by definition. Because that's the way Twitter works. And so, yes, this tweet, once it started appearing in a couple people's feeds, and the algorithm suddenly realized it's making other people mad, and they're quote tweeting it, and they're getting their friends who see it are also getting mad, that's how the whole thing spirals. So that's why you wake up to it being like, oh shit, what just happened, right? And then, yeah, the Lindsay Ellis would be my last point, in that, like, it also made me realize that, like, you know, I am afforded a lot more protections just by virtue of who I am. And like, I think people who do complain all day about the quote woke scolds, or how, you know, the trans people online are worthless, or any of that kind of stuff, I think if they haven't taken a step back to realize that the people in those communities, especially the people who are very angry online, have most likely been fighting IRL their whole lives. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. I think a lot of the people who are so mad at me right now, a lot of the people who are, like, honestly saying that they're gonna, you know, Roblox me or worse, or things like that, right? Who are part of those communities, it's because A, they have no idea who I am, and B, they've spent their entire lives, like, fighting people who look like me, or who talk like me, or who act like me, cis people in society, who are honestly trying to oppress them. I mean, when it comes to real life, the conservatives are actively trying to oppress trans people to a degree that I've never seen before in my lifetime right now. It's like things have ramped up so horrifyingly. So that's why people will act out in that way. And Kubi, you're doing the thing right now. You're doing the streamer mod thing, or the streamer fan thing. Like, please listen to my words. I'm serious about this. Like, there isn't this phenomenon, I think, of like people online who are who know me and want to come out. Like, I think this is people who have no idea who I was, and this got taken in a very uncharitable way. But it was, honestly, it's also my fault. Like, I shouldn't have led with, I don't really understand. Like, this is a very incredibly charitable way to describe even libertarians, let alone conservatives, you know? Move over from the Vosh effect, it's time for the Serfs effect. It's time, baby. My time has come. It's the Serf effect. I understood this was about your feeling, perspective, the nuance between the two. There's one person on the thread I argued with a bit, but I think that I think slowly caught on. You are uncancelable. No one is uncancelable. Here's my point. Like, I'll take the hit as a cis dude, and I am cis. I'm painfully cis, and I was born cis, and I will be cis for the rest of my life until my dying moments as a cis dude. You know, if people are choosing me as like the online target of the day, either because they've misunderstood it or because a lot of cis dudes think and talk like this, even in its most uncharitable light. And I'm not saying this to virtue signal. I'm saying this as a piece of advice for other content creators who are also cis. Like it's not your war, right? Like the worst thing in the world I could possibly do would be try to flip this whole thing around right now and get every one of you who's watching me and who likes watching me and who likes me just as a personality really mad, big mad. And all of a sudden being like, okay, we got 539 quote tweets to go after, all right, everybody? And we have to find them all and we have to make them learn. We have to make them learn the ways of the serf. And so each one of them will be, will turn from a serf enemy to a serf ally. And this is how, like, no, like, again, the anger people might have towards the ghost of Lance or the straw Lance or whatever you want to call it, you know? Could be tonight we shall feast. You get it, right? You all get it? I assume you get it. Yeah, there you go. I knew what you were saying. Basically said the same thing. Quite 185. Thank you for giving it your one sub.
Clean up your
written
room.
words can be misinterpreted way more than spoken words because of the micro expressions. Is that a thing? Micro expressions? I didn't even know that. Yeah. Either way. Yeah, so that was my mini Lanceled. Don't worry, we're good though. Twitter is a harassment engine. I agree with this. We should dogmatically defend you against even minor attacks. That was exactly what I just said. Yes, verbatim. Yep. I'm now going to display the names of the people who quote tweeted me, who I thought are the worst ones, the most egregious actors, and I want all of you to teach them a lesson, one after the other. It's gonna be a good day, and I want to watch it happen online. So there's 360 people watching me right now. I want to see 360 mean comments, okay, from every single one of you. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen now. That was a joke. This is a bit. I have to say that at the end of this, so people don't actually genuinely clip this out of context. Everything I said is not true. That is not how you should compose yourself online. And content creators with large platforms have to be self-aware. There you go. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to conduct many a human sacrifices in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble yet incompetent jesters, trying in vain to bring some levity into your life. To our Lord Trevor R., we give you thanks for this meager plot of land for us to toil away our pathetic existence. To our brave knights, Carl Wauer, Tony, D.M. Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruben Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tal, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We salute our mighty heroes off to conquest some bread in some far-off land.